This stunning admission from Stephanie White on live television should send massive shockwaves to the entire Indiana Fever fan base. Far more than any bad box score, shooting slump, or rotation blunder ever could. Following a brutal, high-stakes battle against the Golden State Valkyries, a reporter questioned White about the fourth-quarter technical foul slammed on Caitlin Clark during a highly publicized, white-hot altercation. It was the absolute focal point of the entire broadcast, a moment dripping with tension. Yet White looked dead at the camera, completely blank, and claimed utter ignorance. By admitting she had absolutely no clue her franchise cornerstone was being hit with a technical in the heat of battle, White exposed a terrifying level of disconnect on the sidelines, signaling a dangerous lapse in situational awareness that threatens to derail this team far more than any opponent on the court.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Were you worried at all that she would have been ejected?
I didn't know that she got a technical either. So, I guess they announced it, but nobody told us. So, I thought the officials would have told us, but...
It is completely unacceptable that the head coach of a professional basketball franchise had zero clue her franchise cornerstone, the absolute engine of the team, was slapped with a technical foul while actively commanding the sideline in real time, armed with a headset, and flanked by an entire staff of assistant coaches paid exclusively to monitor the floor. That single embarrassing blind spot blows the doors off the hinges to expose a fundamentally broken infrastructure inside the Indiana Fever locker room, proving the team's crisis cuts far deeper than mere roster chemistry. This isn't just a communication breakdown. It is a systemic failure under pressure that spotlights a fatally flawed defensive scheme and a total collapse in sideline awareness that mathematically sets this roster up to fail when the playoff race tightens. Welcome back to Wnba Pro. We are ripping away the excuses to break down exactly how this coaching staff is actively leaving their superstar completely unprotected.
Y'all know what time it is. Y'all know exactly what time it is, man. We got to get into this tape and break this film down. Now, Indiana Fever head coach Stephanie White made a vital mistake that if she continues to make, this will cost the Indiana Fever games. 100%. They will lose games if she keeps... Stephanie White elected to continue to switch these bigs onto guards and leave these bigs on an island on the perimeter versus these guards that they could not stay in front of, and then leaving the guards stuck on bigs for throw-ins into the post. Or
tactical rotation errors can be debated. Playing Clark 37 minutes instead of 30 or benching your top scorer are active, strategic choices that can be analyzed, attacked, or defended based on coaching philosophy. But being completely blind to what is happening on your own floor in real time is not a choice. It is a catastrophic collapse of basic communication that destroys situational math. A technical foul radically alters the closing minutes of a tight game, dictating exactly how you deploy a player to protect them from a second technical and an automatic ejection. If Clark gets tossed in crunch time, the game plan completely evaporates, meaning White will be forced to navigate the most critical possessions without her premier playmaker, all because her staff failed to communicate basic game data. This severe lack of sideline awareness is no longer just an administrative embarrassment. It is bleeding directly into the actual on-court tactical execution, triggering a breakdown that is actively sabotaging this team's defensive end of the floor.
Is her initial defender. Monique Billings is guarding the screener, and then you're going to see Monique Billings get stuck on Gabby Williams, okay? Let's get into it. Okay, now we got Gabby Williams out here on the perimeter on Monique Billings. You got Kelsey Mitchell stuck on a big who's about to walk her down to the post.
Smothering on defense when they get there. Stokes has the size.
That is too easy. That is high school level. That's too easy of coverage. You can't just be switching these little guards onto these bigs and thinking the big isn't just going to dive straight to the block.
While sideline communication collapses, a lazy, archaic, switch-everything pick-and-roll defense actively sets these players up for pure humiliation on the floor. Instead of demanding that her perimeter defenders lock in, fight through screens, and outwork the offense, White is letting them take the absolute easiest way out by giving up on the play. The moment a ball screen is set, the Fever simply surrender the matchup and switch, handing the opponent a highly predictable blueprint to exploit fatal mismatches on every single possession. This passive, flawed scheme completely neutralizes individual defensive strengths and forces vulnerable players into unwinnable situations, proving that the structural breakdown on the bench is directly driving the defensive chaos on the hardwood.
Out here on Caitlin Chin, and Kelsey Mitchell is stuck on a big one.
Here's Jem. The switch on to Boston. Tries to use her speed and will.
Why are we leaving Aaliyah Boston out there guarding their point guard on the perimeter? Of course she's going to get danced on. Of course she's going to drive by her. And now she got an and one, and Aaliyah Boston picks up an unnecessary foul from being in a position she shouldn't have even been in. Stephanie White.
Boston just led Clark too far.
This passive automatic switching scheme completely sabotages Aaliyah Boston, an elite center drafted to anchor the paint and protect the rim, by constantly stranding her on a helpless island 30 feet from the basket against lightning-fast perimeter guards. The moment minimal contact is made on a screen, the Fever instantly surrender the matchup, allowing opposing point guards to immediately exploit the mismatch, dance on the perimeter, and blow by Boston for an effortless bucket and a devastating N1 layup. Boston is forced to pick up exhausting, completely unnecessary fouls simply because her head coach puts her in a mathematically impossible situation. The destructive ripple effect of this flawed defensive philosophy doesn't just isolate your anchor at the three-point line. It triggers an equally catastrophic collapse on the other side of the mismatch, leaving the interior entirely exposed and vulnerable.
Switch smalls onto bigs all game.
Too strong on a three. That's a me here pulling down the rebound and
You get a small stuck on a big, offensive rebound, put back, lay in.
Sure.
Now, all right. Now you got Lefty. She was balling, man. Tiffany Hayes. You got a switch out onto her. Okay, so you got Monique Billings switched out on. Switched on.
While your anchor gets roasted on perimeter, this broken scheme drags your smaller guards into the post to get absolutely bullied and demolished on the interior. By mindlessly switching smalls on the bigs, Stephanie White actively surrenders a defensive glass, allowing opposing power forwards to easily seal off defenders like Kelsey Mitchell, secure effortless offensive rebounds, and cash in on free putbacks that defy the basic laws of physics. The massive free throw discrepancies crippling this team are not a refereeing conspiracy. They are the direct, undeniable consequence of a lazy defensive scheme forcing out-of-position players to foul out of pure desperation. This isn't a series of isolated incidents. It is an interconnected pattern of blatant coaching negligence, where the sideline staff simply cannot process in-game reality fast enough to make winning adjustments. At 4-2, with Caitlin Clark putting up MVP numbers, Aaliyah Boston returning to all WNBA form, and legitimate championship aspirations on the line, the Fever are actively being sabotaged by a cracked coaching infrastructure. If this lazy switching defense is a liability now, it will be an absolute, unmitigated massacre against elite competition like the New York Liberty or Las Vegas Aces when Boston is stranded against elite perimeter shooters or Mitchell is left isolated against dominant post threats. The solution demands immediate action. White must establish real-time sideline communication protocols, scrap the automatic switching, and force her guards to fight through screens so Boston can protect the paint where she belongs. Smash that subscribe button right now for the most fearless, high-octane film analysis that destroys corporate narratives. Drop your unfiltered takes in the comments below, and hit the notification bell because the tactical war is escalating, and we are documenting every single piece of the wreckage.